Today, we have Dr. Andrew Stewart joining us in the interview. Andrew is an experienced economic geologist with over 2 decades of base and precious metal exploration experience throughout Southeast and Central Asia, Australia, South America, and Europe. Andrew is the Vice President Exploration of Xanadu Mines. Welcome, Andrew.
Good morning, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Welcome to our interview today. Andrew, could you please share your background when you vended the current copper gold assets into Xanadu's portfolio? What attracted you to this?
Yeah. Okay, so the Kharmagtai project had been explored by Ivanhoe Mines in the early 2000s. And then during that period of the discovery of Oyu Tolgoi, a lot of the exploration then focused on Oyu Tolgoi discovery 100 kilometres down the road. So the project kind of got forgotten about for a bit. In 2015, Xanadu was looking for some copper and gold assets in Mongolia. And we identified Kharmagtai as a project that would suit exactly what Xanadu was looking for. And why we liked it, and I guess this is the heart of your question, was more about that when you walk across the project, it has scale. So between drill holes, you can walk several kilometres. It's a big area. It had outcropping mineralisation, which, was amenable to future open pit mining. But more importantly, when you look at copper projects, it had a high-grade component to it. And that high-grade component was driven by a gold-rich zone that we see at Stockwork Hill. We see Copper Hill. And that's really what attracted to us. By nature, copper deposits, porphyry copper deposits are typically low-grade systems. If you can find the ones that have gold and the ones that have a high-grade part, that project's easier. And that's what we're looking for. And Kharmagtai ticked those boxes. It had scale, and it had high grade, and it had a gold byproduct. And that's exactly what we were looking for in that terrain.
Xanadu Mines and Zijin Mining recently finalized significant cash investment into Kharmagtai copper and gold project. With Xanadu recently started in the drilling program, can you please provide progress update? What's the expected cash allocation to the drilling program?
Yeah, when I look at drilling, it's more about the meters. A big part of that budget we're seeing now that the PFS, and we've talked about the PFS, its funding's around about $20 million over the next 18 months to get that done. A big chunk of that, 40-50% of that is actually the drilling budget. We've started with a 30,000 metre infill program. So that's focused on bringing the resource that's inferred up to indicated in the open pit. So that's giving us a higher confidence in that mineral resource. And then that's also expanding. When we look at the deposit, it still isn't closed off. It's still open in most directions, and expanding that and trying to make the resource better. It's not necessarily making it bigger. It's more about making the resource better. And then, as we know in the background, these copper systems, they occur in districts where you get one deposit, you often get multiple deposits. We have a very aggressive exploration program going on in the background, and that's really about finding more mineralisation in the upper levels of the system. So are there any more open pittable resources on the mining licence? It's very important for economics. If you can get some more open pit resources, it supercharges those economics. And at the latest drilling, as we did, the deeper the system gets, the higher the grade gets. We're very confident that this system turns into a very high grade system at depth, and we're very keen to get some of the deeper drilling going and looking for what's in the deeper parts of this system. And ultimately, it'd be great to have a project that's already there. It was a 30-year open pit project. We would like to extend that with a future underground project.
Please discuss Kharmagtai resource growth over the years since asset was acquired, and how do you expect the current drilling program will impact the resource? What is the best and worst case scenario?
Well, it has grown drastically. When we acquired the project in 2015, there was no resource there. In 2018, we came out with a resource which was about 600 million tonnes of good mineralisation, 50 million tonnes of high-grade mineralisation within that resource. 2021, we put that resource to well over 1 billion tonnes with a nice high-grade component of that, about 100 million tonnes of high-grade material, which is at surface. We've seen amazing growth of that resource. And I think back to that 2021 resource, we were adding copper at less than a cent per pound. And that's often how exploration groups measure themselves as what's your conversion rate for drill holes to success. And we were very successful at adding copper during those phases. And I think, we're going to see ourselves enter another growth phase of that too now that, you've got the project with the exploration going on in the background. I suspect you'll see some more discoveries. Very effective, at adding tons of copper, for money in the ground. I don't know any other projects that, work on that sort of, that work on those sorts of numbers.
Mm. Which targets do you expect could deliver best resource growth potential from, and what is the exploration target size for each of these?
When we look at the project, we deal with two components of the exploration. We have the rest of the district, which is targets within the upper 200 meters of surface. Now we have 5 targets that we're drill testing now, and those targets, have the ability to produce more shallow open pit resources. So, that's exciting, has a huge impact on the project economics. If you can find some more open pit low strip ratio resources, it's great. And we also have the deeper resources. And as I said earlier, this system is getting higher in grade as we go down. We're starting to see the presence of bornite in our deeper drill holes. That's very exciting. And that's what you see just down the road at Oyu Tolgoi. The system, as we get down, the Hugo Dummett discovery is all about transitioning from, a chalcopyrite ore body to a bornite ore body. Grades go up, gold contents go up, and that's exactly what we're expecting at Kharmagtai. So very excited. And, when you look at the resource sizes and, when you look at discoveries, we know that, our high-grade discoveries at Kharmagtai are about 100 million tonnes. If you can find more of those, you can certainly add a lot to the resource rapidly. We're transitioning this to make it a better project. If we can find more ore, more high-grade ore, all we do is increase that NPV and the value of the project, and that's our focus.
That's very exciting. Please outline key aims of the comprehensive geometallurgical program currently underway.
Yeah, we're blessed that, porphyry copper deposits are very metallurgically friendly. Traditionally, these are systems that, you crush, you grind, and you float the copper off and the gold goes with it. What we're doing is a very extensive geomet modelling at the moment. So probably one of the few groups out there that's taken a resource model and models the geometallurgy, and it's about ore deposit knowledge. We've got that in a 3D model at the moment, and so we're able to select certain domains, send those rocks off for detailed metallurgical test work. Our aim is to have an ore system where, the geologist knows what that rock is in terms of geology alteration, metallurgist knows what the recovery of that same rock is, and the engineers know about the strength of that rock. So, that work is happening at the moment, and it's happening in a 3D environment, which is quite exciting. And we've got some great systems on site that allow us to get real-time data on the rock makeup, the chemistry, hardness, the alteration minerals, etc. So yeah, it's about creating the PFS, the data for the PFS, the data collection, but it's also getting the project ready for development.
I'm sure that there will be some challenges and opportunities. So could you please outline challenges and opportunities for drilling and assaying in Mongolia? Would be great to hear your thoughts on how this either will be overcome or how this favorably compare relative to other jurisdictions.
Unfortunately, I can't talk about any challenges because, we've now completed several thousand meters of drilling, and we're getting assay results back after 6 to 8 days. Cool. I look around the world at the moment. I look in Australia. If I look at South America, those turnaround times for assays are more like 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
6 to 8 days. So we're blessed. We're getting quick turnaround. We have a great laboratory in Mongolia of ALS labs. We're drilling, those samples get taken to the lab, the turnaround time is remarkable. And that's very, very important because as we run a drill program, we can follow it. If we're seeing copper and gold in drill holes, we can extend it. We can add another hole quickly, and we can navigate the ore deposit very well. So the challenges in that, are quite, we're not seeing them, but that's the beauty of Mongolia working on the ground is that, these are why we're there. Infrastructure's there. So, it makes, the PFS and particularly the PFS drilling, a dream to work on.
Right.
Obviously there's all challenges. I think that, you'll see a project here. I saw a report this morning that from PFS through to construction through to copper, it's taken these projects 10 years elsewhere around the mine. And as, we know from Xanadu, we're aiming at, taking this project through in 27. So I think, there's a track record of taking a project from exploration through the study phases, and through construction. And, we've seen these projects, appear rapidly in Mongolia. And that's our competitive advantage is the low ESG risks that, are apparent on the ground in Mongolia.
Thank you so much for your sharing. So geologist is a legendary career full of adventures and prospecting in some of the widest and most remote places on Earth. I'm sure you have experienced multiple career highlights. We would love to hear your most memorable moments in your career.
Yeah, well, a geologist, I think to become a geologist, you have to be a certain type of person. And, it's a great job. It's a great job that allows you to do that travel, work in remote areas. And, I think there's many highlights in my life and been involved with several greenfields discoveries, which is obviously an important part. But I think some of the highlights is, working in terrains where there's been very little work in the past. And, I go back to some of the earlier days of working for Ivanhoe and doing helicopter trips to Western Mongolia, in the early 2000s and, standing on, outcrops that, very few people had been to before. And, that's the excitement of it, I think, is that adventure. And it's all about discoveries. Often people say that discoveries continue to be made by the same people, the same companies. And that's not a surprise because it's those companies that know how to have discoveries. And they have an organization that's set up that facilitates those discoveries. It has the best geologists. It allows those geologists time. It provides those geologists the budget to drill those ore deposits, and it allows them to do their work. And I think the most important thing is, is that drive to have discoveries. A lot of the good geologists do this to, have those discoveries. That's key to our industry. And it's a very exciting job when you see that first drill hole come out and, it's got a lot more copper, a lot more gold than you anticipated. Wow. It's a bit of an addiction.
Well, I can imagine that. So this is the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to hearing more news updates from Xanadu. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.